So of course, now that the school year's over, as a teacher, I'm still thinking about school, right? Because it's like always there. Not to a dangerous extent, I'm like pushing a lot of it back because it's summer. Don't want to be burned out, but sometimes you can think about it from a more distant perspective when you're not in the middle of the grind and putting in those really long weeks. So I was thinking about virtual school, some of the benefits, some of the drawbacks, and then also like who's a really good fit for virtual education. So I've been working with the Cameron Academy of Virtual Education for 7 years now. One misconception I always hear about when I say that I teach at a virtual school is people picture that I'm like working at this huge like conglomerate or some kind of weird company far away, or they think I'm working in something like a VIP Kid where it's all like a prepackaged curriculum and you're teaching like overseas or something. But no, I work at, it's like a local public small charter school out of a local school district here. So it's just my backyard with a small group of students. So I think the two main benefits of either working at or going to a virtual school are flexibility and then personalization or differentiation. It can be so flexible. Like you can work as a student, you can work around chores, you can work around other jobs, you can work around other commitments. So like I have students who are like really into dance, maybe, and so they have like dance practice 5-6 days a week, taking up a lot of time of their day, and yet they're still able to do their school when they want to. So that's a huge thing. For me, I get to spend more time with my kids because of that flexibility and kind of build my schedule around my home schedule. So if I know that there's certain times of the day that I really need to be with my kids or really want to be with my kids, I can do that. And then maybe do my grading at night, or maybe even do some meetings with students in the evening when the kids are maybe relaxing or going to bed. So it gives me some flexibility that way as a teacher too. And then personalization or differentiation. So like as a teacher, I look at it like a differentiation. It's the most differentiated I can ever make a curriculum because I can design entire classes just for one student. Just exactly what that student wants to learn, thinking about their goals, their future plans, and what I see as their strengths or weaknesses. I can make it really individualized, which is so cool. And you see their growth, and then I can see really their unique growth, and really determine what they're achieving. And it's really awesome. It's probably my favorite part about it. As a student, some of the benefits about that is you don't have to necessarily study information that you're not going to use. If you're a student who maybe you catch on really quickly, you don't have to sit there in the classroom waiting for everyone else to catch up to you, or you can do something really more personalized. So like if you're a student that loves writing, but your traditional school would only offer maybe a basic English class, instead you can take like your own personal writing curriculum class with me, and we can maybe like write a novel together, which some of my students have done, or learn some new skills with our writing, or focus it more towards like professional writing skills. So we can do lots of really cool things that you can't always do maybe in your local school or your traditional public school. So those are definitely the benefits. I would say some of the drawbacks are, one for teachers is that we get a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings about the amount of work that we do put in. So like for instance, I teach probably about 20 to 30 classes on an average year, which is a lot. I mean, even when I was at a different school where I was basically the entire English department was just me, for the high school at least, we had middle school teachers. I had 4 or 5 classes a semester to prep for. So here I have 20 to 30, so way more. And some people may say, well, are they all like prepackaged? Then you don't have to teach as much. That's not necessarily true. And only about half of my classes are what people might call prepackaged. So those are like set up online. So basically all the material is technically there. But of course, I still have to teach that material to my students. I have to reteach some things. I have to find them additional supplemental materials. I have to check the links, check the content, see if it's all correct. So there's a lot of work that actually goes into that. I don't just like put them into a class and say, go for it. You know, like we would never do that. And then the other element is creating those classes from scratch that I work with. So that's kind of like the other half of my job. So I do have those unique classes that I find the materials for, I create the materials for. Sometimes we use other paper books or paper curriculum too, so I have to be familiar with those. And then it's a lot of just switching your mind from one class to the next, just like all day long. So it's a lot of there's a lot of brain work involved in doing that switching. I think a lot of energy too. And yet people will say, well, you don't have that many students, or well, you're just online, you know. So there's kind of that weird disconnect where you're doing so much work, but everyone else is seeing it as not that much work. Even administration is like, well, you have fewer students than my other teachers, so you're not working as hard, even though maybe you put in 50 to 60 hours in some of those really crazy weeks, you know, just like everyone else. So there's that. And from a student perspective, I think the biggest downfall is just maybe not realizing the amount of work you'll have to put in, or not being as self-motivated as you may need to be. You really do need to have that self-motivation for online learning. You have to be willing to go and read something on your own without someone sitting next to you and telling you about it. You really do have to go watch the video on your own, have the motivation to get up and do the activity without someone right there in the classroom, kind of egging you on, or having the big group of people there around to give you that pressure to do it. So a lot of self-motivation that students, I don't think, always realize. Yeah, so I think the students that fit really best in this virtual classroom would be those who are self-motivated, because then you'll do so well, you can get your work done actually in a lot shorter time than you would in a traditional classroom, right? Because we're not using time for those sort of housekeeping activities, attendance, or trying to keep kids on task. We're not losing a lot of that time, so it's kind of just right directly to the curriculum, right to the content. Get right in there and go. So you can save a lot of time. Like those who do homeschooling can know what I'm talking about. You get to go right into there, and it's a lot more efficient. So students who are interested in that, and the students who like that personalization, and students with a busy schedule, or maybe a busy home life, maybe your family moves around a lot for whatever reason, this can be a really good fit for you. So those are the qualities that I think do the best. And although sometimes it's stressful and crazy, I do really, at times, really appreciate my job. Most especially just working with those students.